Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices.
As Ralph Ellis explains, the first-degree tracing board is a representation of Solomon's Temple. Solomon's Temple being modeled after Giza, this is also a representation of the Giza Plateau. The three pillars being the three greater pyramids of Giza, and the two cubes being the plugs or the doors of the pyramid, and I would further speculate a symbol of the double square of the King's Chamber floor plan. Inside every Masonic lodge you are likely to find the two pillars of Solomon's Temple and the five-pointed or blazing star. It seems highly unlikely to my mind that it is a mere coincidence that these are the same elements we see at play in the 9/11 event. My current belief system views what happened on that day as a mega ritual. When the symbolic pillars came down on 9/11, the holiest of holies was revealed. Isis was unveiled. If we think of the towers as the pillars of Hercules, then what was revealed was the new Atlantis. We find another related and valid symbol system in the Kabbalah. Here the World Trade Center represents the left and the right pillar, the middle pillar being formed by the space in between, and representing, amongst other things, cosmic illumination or higher consciousness. The middle pillar can also be viewed as World Trade Center 7. We then have all three the pillars on the first-degree tracing board representing Solomon's Temple and in its turn the three major pyramids of Giza, evoked during the 9/11 mega ritual, which brings us to my current preferred metaphor for higher consciousness, the Stargate.
So as we start to look into the numerology, what we're looking at is a tree of life. And this is something that the magicians use, and what I believe to be a map of the extra dimension. So as you're looking into this map, there are 10 spots on it, and they are called the Sephiroth. And within these Sephiroth, you have your Trinity at the top. So this is the all, the one, looking at itself and creating a reflection. It's the 1, 2, 3, and that's why 1, 2, and 3 are all still one. And then 4 is the first emanation into reality. And then we come down where 6 becomes Jesus. And as we're looking at this numerology, you go up from the bottom up to the top. You have 10 points. 10 being God. 10 being the hermaphroditic symbol. 1 and 0. So as you come up to 10, that is their God. That is 10. That is the hermaphrodite. But if you stop at 9 and you skip to 11, skipping God, then you are a Luciferian. Because 11 is the number of the magician. It's the one step above. Once you have accomplished the tree of life, you are now the magician. You are one above 10. But they're doing it by skipping God. That's the symbolism of 9/11.
To begin with, the significance of 911. What you have to understand, and what we are trying to explain, is that when dealing with extra dimensions, or when dealing with beings from extra dimensions like Jinn, for example, or when dealing with the Illuminati, or the elite, or people that follow a certain type of esoteric agendas, although me and you communicate through words and letters, they have chosen a different type of language. And this is a cross-boundary type of language. This is a language that goes across the boundaries, understood by all. And this is the language of numbers and shapes. And this is why whenever you do research about these groups, you'll find out that they practice something called sacred numerology and sacred geometry. What does this mean? It means that each number is given a meaning. Each shape is given a meaning. A meaning is communicated whenever a shape is presented or a number is presented by these specific groups. I'm not talking about random people or random groups. We're talking about specific groups that follow this type of agenda. When numbers are used, it signifies a certain type of meaning. When shapes are used, the same is followed. So, in their definition, in a numerological sense, 10 is the Alpha and the Omega, or the God. 11 is a step above God. 101 is a step above God. 911 or 911 is the skipping of God. It is the ultimate challenge. It is going from number 9, which has a specific meaning, to number 11 without going through 10. It's skipping God. So it's no coincidence that this event that we call 911 today took place on 911. It is the ultimate challenge. So now that we understood what 911 means, what other practice do we do that deals with 911? Calling a number whenever you are in an emergency. Now, creating an institution that helps people whenever they are in need of help and whenever they are experiencing an emergency is fine. There's nothing against it. There's no religion, there's no logical person on earth that will tell you this is wrong. But when you understand how sinister that these elite are and the way they work on a level that's way beyond what you think. So the fact that when you're experiencing an emergency or when you are in need of help, you have to pick up a phone and dial 911, which is the ultimate numerological definition of skipping God, then you'll understand how these people work. And when dealing with rituals, you'll recognize that everything adds up. For something to be a ritual, everything has to be in place, everything has to be perfect. And my advice is, if you want to recognize that something is satanic, it has to add up in all sense. The numbers have to add up, the shapes have to add up, the event has to add up, it has to have one general meaning. The pieces of the puzzle fit perfectly. That's when you recognize when something is ritualistic or satanic.